Minji Choi hadn't slept in 2 days. The quantum lab under Seoul hummed with energy as she stared at the holographic display. Numbers and symbols floated in the air, spinning and connecting in patterns only she fully understood. "Dr. Choi, you should rest," her assistant said, placing a cup of coffee beside her. "No time," Minji replied without looking away from the display. 6 months to solve problems that should take years. "I'll sleep when Earth is safe." News of the Galactic Council's challenge had reached Earth 1 week ago. Since then, the planet had been in a state of controlled panic. Leaders from all nations had gathered in emergency sessions. Scientists had been pulled from every project to focus on the 3 trials. Military forces had been placed on alert without explanation to the public. In another part of the complex, Ji-hoon Kang walked between tables of arguing diplomats. As Earth's coordinator for the challenge response, he had the impossible task of making all nations work together. "The European Union will provide the quantum computing resources," one diplomat said. "And what about the rest of us? We sit and watch?" Another countered. Ji-hoon raised his hands. "Please, this is not the time for old rivalries. The challenge is not against each other, but against those who would see humanity fail." The room quieted as Captain Do-hyun Kim entered. He had returned from Nexus Station just yesterday, bringing full details of the challenge and a sense of urgency. "Captain, please tell them what you told me," Ji-hoon said. Do-hyun looked tired, but determined. "The challenge is designed to make us fail. Some on the council fear our potential. They've given us impossible deadlines, and will judge us by standards no young species could meet." He pointed to the wall screen showing Earth and its 12 colony worlds. "But we must succeed. If we fail, all of this ends. 500 years of quarantine would destroy everything we've built beyond our solar system." A military officer stood. "Then we should prepare our fleets. If they want to contain us, they'll have to fight us." "That would only prove them right," Ji-woo Park said as she entered. The xenobiologist had been studying council records since their return. They claimed to fear our aggressive nature. A military response would justify their fears. In yet another section of the complex, Yoon-ji Yang sat surrounded by screens. As an intelligence officer, she had been tasked with discovering the true motives behind the challenge. Faces of various alien council members filled her screens as she searched for patterns. "There," she said, marking several images. "The gray ones, the insect types, and these gaseous beings. They all voted together on the last 7 major council decisions." Her assistant leaned closer. "A voting bloc?" "More than that," Yoon-ji said. "I think they're a faction. Look at their colonial expansion patterns." The screen showed a star map with colored areas representing different species' territories. "They call themselves the Preservers," Yoon-ji continued. "They believe advanced technology should be controlled, limited. They oppose rapid change. And we represent rapid change." "Exactly. But there's more." Yoon-ji pulled up communication records. "They've been watching us closely even before first contact. They know what we're capable of." Meanwhile, in the quantum lab, Minji suddenly stood up. "I need to speak with Captain Kim immediately." When Do-hyun arrived, Minji was pacing the lab floor. "The first trial is impossible," she said without greeting. "The dimensional stability problem they've given us can't be solved with current physics models." Do-hyun frowned. "You're sure?" "Absolutely. It's like asking someone from the Stone Age to build a computer. We need another century of development to even approach this." "Then we've already lost," Do-hyun said quietly. "No." Minji's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Because they've made a mistake. They think we'll approach this from the same direction they would. But I've been thinking about it differently." She pulled up a new display showing strange, twisted shapes. "What if we don't try to solve the stability problem directly? What if we go around it?" Do-hyun looked confused. "I don't understand." "Good. That means the council won't either." Minji grinned. "I need resources, the best minds, and complete freedom to try something crazy." "You have it," Do-hyun said immediately. "Whatever you need." As Do-hyun left the lab, his communication device beeped. It was Hyunjin Lee, calling from the military headquarters. "Captain, we've detected increased activity around our outer colonies," Hyunjin reported. "Council ships just watching for now. Keep monitoring them." "No aggressive moves," Do-hyun ordered. "There's more," Hyunjin said, his face grim. "Some of our colonists report beings asking strange questions. About our defenses, our response times. They're assessing us," Do-hyun realized. "Preparing for something." That evening, Ji-hoon Kang managed to bring temporary peace to the diplomatic talks. Earth would present a unified front. Resources would be shared. Old enemies would work together against this new threat. As the diplomats filed out, Ji-hoon found Ji-woo waiting for him. "How much did you tell them?" she asked. "Enough to scare them, not enough to panic them," Ji-hoon replied. "Did you find anything in the council records?" Ji-woo nodded. The last species to face a challenge was the Veldari. They failed. Their home system was quarantined as promised. What happened to them? They tore themselves apart. Civil wars over limited resources. Their civilization collapsed within a century. Ji-woo's voice was sad. "That can't happen to us." In her intelligence center, Yoon-ji-young was making a breakthrough of her own. She had found encrypted communications between Preserver faction members and some unexpected recipients. "These signals," she said, pointing to the screen, "they're going to regions outside council space, to species not even part of the galactic community." Her assistant frowned. "Why would they communicate with outsiders?" "I don't know yet. But look at the timing." Yoon-ji highlighted several points on a timeline. Heavy communication just before the challenge was announced, and again just after we accepted. They're coordinating something. Yes, but what? Yoon-ji stared at the screen, trying to piece it together. Across the complex, engineers were already building prototypes based on Minji's theories. One of them, Tae-woo Song, worked tirelessly to translate her ideas into physical form. "It's not just about solving their problem," he explained to his team. "It's about showing them a new way to think. If we can't climb their mountain, we'll build a bridge across it." Days passed. Earth prepared. The colonies were quietly strengthened, not with weapons but with sensors and communication systems. Scientists worked around the clock. Diplomats rehearsed responses to every possible scenario. Then, just as progress was being made, an urgent message arrived from Nexus Station. Do-hyun called an emergency meeting of all team leaders. "The first trial has been moved up. We don't have 6 months. We have 1 week." The room erupted in protests and questions. "That's impossible. We can't be ready. They've changed the rules." Do-hyun let the noise continue for a moment, then raised his hand. "This only confirms what we suspected. They want us to fail. They're counting on it." He turned to Minji. "How close are you?" She looked tired but determined. "We need more time, but..." She thought for a moment. "Tae-woo's prototype might be ready. It won't be perfect, but it might be enough to surprise them." "And the other trials?" Do-hyun asked the room. Sung-ho Park, Earth's chief ethicist, spoke up. "The ethical governance presentation is nearly complete. We can be ready." Hyunjin nodded. "The military has been preparing for the restraint trial. We can demonstrate our protocols." "What about the preservers?" Do-hyun asked Yoon-ji. "Any more on their plans?" Yoon-ji shook her head. "Nothing concrete. But there's unusual ship movement near the trial location. Military vessels from species not even involved in judging us." Ji-hoon Kang stood. "This feels like more than just a test. It feels like they're setting the stage for something bigger." Do-hyun looked around the room at the tired but determined faces. These were some of Earth's best minds, its strongest leaders. In just days, they had accomplished what should have taken months. "Whether this is a fair test or a trap doesn't matter now," he said. "We go. We show them what humanity is capable of. And we refuse to fail." As the meeting ended and people filed out, Ji-woo stayed behind with Do-hyun. "You know," she said quietly, "even if we pass these trials, the preservers won't stop. They fear us too much." Do-hyun nodded. "I know this isn't the end. It's just the beginning." Outside the complex, night had fallen over Seoul. Lights from the city competed with the stars above. Somewhere up there, the fate of humanity was being decided by beings who had never set foot on Earth, who had never seen a human child look up at those same stars with wonder. Humanity had 1 week to prove itself worthy of the galaxy, 1 week to show that the Council had made a terrible mistake in challenging them. The technology trial arena on Nexus Station buzzed with activity. Beings from across the galaxy had gathered to witness humanity's first trial. Some came out of curiosity, others to see the upstart species fail. Do-hyun Kim stood with Tae-woo Song beside their device. It didn't look impressive, just a small silver cube on a pedestal. But inside that cube was humanity's answer to an impossible problem. "Are you sure it will work?" Do-hyun asked quietly. Tae-woo adjusted something on his control pad. "Minji's theory is sound, but we've had no time to test it properly." He looked up at the captain. It's the best we could do in a week. On the other side of the arena, council judges prepared their monitoring equipment. The insect-like being who seemed most hostile to humans chittered to its assistants while pointing at the human delegation. "They're already recording our failure," Jiwoo Park noted as she joined Do-hyun. "The trial hasn't even started." Do-hyun nodded. Yoonji's intelligence was correct. "This isn't about testing us. It's about humiliating us." The crystalline council speaker Draval floated to the center of the arena. "The technology trial will now commence. Earth must demonstrate their solution to the dimensional stability problem." A holographic display appeared above the arena, showing a swirling mass of energy that pulsed and distorted. "As you can see," Draval continued, "the test presents an unstable dimensional pocket. In theory, such a pocket could collapse into a singularity, threatening nearby space. The challenge is to stabilize it without destruction." Tae-woo stepped forward with his control pad. He looked nervous but determined. "Begin," Draval ordered. Tae-woo activated the silver cube. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Murmurs spread through the watching crowd. The insect being clicked triumphantly. Then the holographic display changed. The swirling energy didn't stabilize as expected. Instead, it began to split into smaller, perfectly contained bubbles of energy. Confusion spread through the arena. "This wasn't a standard solution. What is happening?" Draval demanded. Tae-woo smiled for the first time. "Rather than force stability on an unstable system, we're allowing controlled division. Each bubble is perfectly stable because of its smaller size. Together they form a network that performs the same function as the original pocket, but without the risk of collapse." The arena fell silent as the judges consulted their instruments. "This is unexpected," Draval admitted. "But does it meet the requirements?" The chief technical judge, a being with multiple tentacles and eyes, examined the readings. "The system is stable. Energy is contained. Functionality is maintained." It paused. "In fact, efficiency is increased by 27%. Excited whispers spread through the crowd. The insect being stopped its triumphant clicking. "The solution is acceptable," Draval announced, sounding surprised. "Humanity has passed the first trial." Do-hyun and Tae-woo exchanged relieved looks. 1 down, 2 to go. As they left the arena, Do-hyun noticed several council members watching them with new interest. Not all of the aliens were against humanity, it seemed. "Don't celebrate yet," Hyunjin Lee warned as they returned to their quarters. "The ethics trial begins tomorrow and our spies report unusual communications between the judges." "They'll make it harder," Jiwoo agreed. "They didn't expect us to pass the first test." Do-hyun nodded. "Get Sung-ho ready. The ethics trial will test not just our principles, but our ability to explain them to beings with very different moral systems." The next day, the human delegation entered the ethics tribunal chamber. Unlike the open arena of the technology trial, this room was intimate, designed for careful discussion rather than spectacle. Sung-ho Park, Earth's chief ethicist, sat at a circular table facing 7 alien judges. Each represented a different philosophical tradition within the council. "The ethics trial will now commence," announced a judge with flowing, liquid-like skin. "Humanity will respond to 7 ethical dilemmas drawn from galactic history. Their responses will be judged on consistency, compassion, and wisdom." The first dilemma appeared on screens around the room. It described a situation involving resource allocation during a crisis, but from an alien perspective where individual lives were considered less important than collective knowledge. Sung-ho listened carefully, then began his response. "While human ethics typically place high value on individual lives, we recognize that different species may prioritize differently based on their biology and history." He went on to explain how humans would approach the problem, emphasizing both the importance of saving lives and preserving knowledge. Rather than rejecting the alien perspective, he found common ground while staying true to human values. The judges made notes but revealed nothing of their thoughts. The second dilemma involved truth-telling in a culture where deception was sometimes considered the highest form of respect. Jiwoo whispered in Sung-ho's ear before he answered. Her knowledge of alien cultures proved invaluable as Sung-ho crafted a response that demonstrated understanding while maintaining human integrity. By the fourth dilemma, even Do-hyun was struggling to follow the complex moral questions. They touched on concepts humans had rarely considered. involving hive minds, shared consciousness, and beings that existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Yet Sung-ho remained calm, listening carefully and responding thoughtfully. When he didn't understand something, he admitted it and asked for clarification, a sign of wisdom the judges seemed to appreciate. The final dilemma was the most difficult. It described a situation with no good outcome, where any choice would result in suffering for some group. Sung-ho was silent for a long time before he spoke. This is a true dilemma with no perfect answer. Humans have faced similar situations throughout our history. He described Earth's various philosophical approaches to such problems, from utilitarian calculations to virtue ethics. But, he concluded, what makes humanity distinct is not that we have solved such dilemmas, but that we continue to wrestle with them. We question our answers. We learn from our mistakes. Our ethics evolve as we grow. When he finished, the chamber was quiet. The judges conferred in whispers for several minutes. Finally, the liquid-skinned judge spoke. The human responses show both understanding of universal principles and respect for diverse perspectives. While their ethical system is still young, it demonstrates flexibility without compromising core values. The judge paused, then added, "Humanity has passed the ethics trial." Relief spread through the human delegation. 2 trials down, 1 to go. As they left the chamber, Yoonji Yang was waiting with urgent news. "Captain, our monitoring systems have detected unusual activity near Collins Colony," she reported, referring to one of Earth's most distant outposts. "Several ships of unknown origin have entered the system." Do-hyun frowned. "Military vessels? Unclear. They're maintaining distance, just watching for now." Hyunjin joined them, his face grim. "And I've just received word that the military restraint trial has been moved up. It begins tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Jiwoo exclaimed. "We were promised 3 days to prepare." "They're changing the rules again," Do-hyun said quietly. "They're desperate now." Back in their quarters, the team gathered to prepare for the final and most dangerous trial. "What exactly will they test?" Taewoo asked. Yoonjin brought up a holographic display. "Based on previous challenges, they'll place our forces in a simulated conflict situation. We'll face provocations and must respond with minimum force while still protecting our interests." "Sounds simple enough," Jiwoo said. "It's not," Hyunjin replied. "The simulation is designed to escalate. Most species eventually resort to overwhelming force when threatened enough. And that would prove we're too dangerous to be allowed free in the galaxy." Do-hyun concluded. Yoonji's communication device beeped. She checked it and her eyes widened. "Captain, I've decrypted more preserver communications. They're not just planning for us to fail the trials." "What do you mean?" "There are coordinates, fleet movements. They're positioning for something bigger." Yoonji looked up, her face pale. "I think they're planning to attack our colonies regardless of the trial outcomes." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "We need to warn Earth," Do-hyun said. "But we can't let the Council know we've discovered this. We have to pass the final trial first. Can we do both?" Jiwoo asked. "Pass the trial and prepare for an attack?" Do-hyun thought for a moment. "Maybe the trial itself can be our answer." "Hyunjin, I have an idea, but it's risky." As Do-hyun outlined his plan, the others listened with growing excitement. It was dangerous, unconventional, and exactly the kind of thinking that had allowed humanity to advance so quickly in the first place. "Will it work?" Taewoo asked when Do-hyun finished. "I don't know," Do-hyun admitted, "but it's the best chance we have to show the galaxy who we really are." That night, as the others slept, Do-hyun stood at the viewport looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the preservers were planning humanity's downfall. They thought they understood what humans were capable of. They believed they could predict how humans would react. They were wrong. Tomorrow would prove it. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood tall as the transport doors opened. The bright lights of the Nexus station's main hall nearly blinded him. He had seen pictures of the Galactic Council chambers, but they did not do justice to the real thing. The ceiling stretched so high he could barely see it. Beings from 27 different worlds moved around the vast space. Some floated, some crawled, and some walked on many legs. "Impressive, isn't it?" Jiwoo Park said next to him. As Earth's chief expert on alien life and culture, she had prepared for this moment for years. Her eyes darted from species to species, taking mental notes. "Impressive, yes. Welcoming? That remains to be seen," replied Hyunjin Lee. The military advisor's hand rested near his hip, an old habit from years of carrying a weapon. Here, of course, no weapons were allowed. A tall, blue-skinned being approached them. It had 4 arms and eyes that changed color as it spoke. The Earth delegation is recognized. I am Guide Trell. The council awaits you in the inner chamber. Please follow. Do-hyun nodded to his team and they followed the guide. They had traveled for weeks to reach Nexus Station after receiving the formal summons. No one knew exactly why the council wanted to see them, but rumors had spread through Earth's colonies. None of those rumors were good. The inner chamber was a perfect circle with raised seats around the edges. In these seats sat the representatives of the galaxy's most powerful species. Some looked almost human. Others were so different that Do-hyun struggled to tell where their faces were. At the center of the room stood a platform. Guide Trell pointed to it and the 3 humans stepped onto it. The platform rose slightly, putting them at the center of everyone's attention. A being with crystalline skin that sparkled in the light stood. I am Council Speaker Dreval. The Galactic Council acknowledges the presence of the Earth delegation. Captain Do-hyun Kim, xenobiologist Ji-woo Park, and military advisor Hyunjin Lee. Do-hyun stepped forward. We thank the Council for their recognition. Earth is honored to stand before you. May we ask why we have been summoned? Murmurs filled the room. Ji-woo leaned close to Do-hyun. Some of them seem angry, she whispered. The ones with the vibrating antennas especially. Dreval raised all 4 of his arms and the room fell silent. Humanity has been part of the galactic community for 30 years. In that time you have established colonies on 12 worlds. You have built ships that now travel between stars with increasing speed. Your technology has advanced at a rate that is concerning. Hyunjin tensed beside Do-hyun. This was exactly what they had feared. We have followed all treaties, Do-hyun said. We have shared discoveries as required. We have not expanded beyond our assigned sector. This is true, said another council member, a being with green scales and a long neck. But the pace of human advancement troubles many. Just 50 years ago, you had not left your own planet. Now you build quantum drives and artificial minds, Ji-woo stepped forward. With respect, learning from other species has helped us grow quickly. Is this not the purpose of the galactic community? To help each other advance? A being that looked like a large insect clicked loudly. The purpose is balanced growth. Controlled advancement. Humans rush forward without concern for consequences. More voices joined, some supporting Earth, most expressing worry. Do-hyun waited, letting the debate flow around them. He had been chosen to lead this mission because of his calm under pressure. He would not let them see him rattled. Finally, Dreval spoke again. The Council has deliberated on this matter for some time. We have decided to invoke the Civilization Challenge. Gasps filled the room. Even some council members seemed surprised. The what? Hyunjin asked quietly. A small floating being with multiple eyes drifted close to their platform. It is rarely used, it said in a whisper that somehow carried to their ears alone. A test to see if a species deserves its place among us. Only invoked 7 times in 10,000 years, Dreval continued. The challenge consists of 3 trials: technological innovation, ethical governance, and military restraint. Each will test whether humanity is ready for its current position in the galaxy. Ji-woo's eyes widened. This is unprecedented for a species so new to the Council. What happens if we refuse? Do-hyun asked, though he already suspected the answer. Refusal is considered failure, Dreval said. The penalty for failure is quarantine. Humanity would be restricted to its home system for 500 years. The room fell silent. 500 years confined to a single star system would destroy Earth's growing presence in the galaxy. Their colonies would be abandoned. Millions of people would have to return to an already crowded Earth. Hyunjin stepped forward. And the time frame for these trials? Standard preparation time is 3 years, said Dreval. Then his crystalline face shifted in what might have been discomfort. However, given the special circumstances, the Council has decided humanity must be ready in 6 months. 6 months! Ji-woo couldn't hide her shock. That's impossible. Do-hyun placed a calming hand on her arm. He scanned the Council members, noting which ones seemed pleased by this announcement and which ones seemed troubled. There was more happening here than a simple test. May I ask what special circumstances require such a short preparation time? Do-hyun kept his voice level. A large being with thick gray skin and small eyes leaned forward. Your people have shown how quickly you adapt. Surely 6 months is ample time for humans. Hyunjin's eyes narrowed. This sounds less like a fair test and more like, we accept. Do-hyun cut in before Hyunjin could finish. He gave his military advisor a warning look. Ji-woo turned to him. Captain, we should discuss this. There is nothing to discuss, Do-hyun said loud enough for all to hear. If the council wishes to test humanity, we welcome the opportunity to prove ourselves. He turned back to face Dreval. We accept your challenge. Please provide the details so we can begin preparations. As Dreval outlined the basic structure of each trial, Do-hyun noticed several council members whispering among themselves. Ji-woo was watching them too. The green ones and the crystal ones, she murmured. They seem troubled by this whole thing. And the insect types and the gray ones look too pleased, Hyunjin added. I don't like this, Captain. Neither do I, Do-hyun whispered. But refusing isn't an option. After the formal announcement concluded, the 3 humans were escorted to private quarters within the station. Once alone, they could speak freely. This is a trap, Hyunjin said immediately. 6 months for trials that normally take years to prepare for? They're setting us up to fail. Ji-woo sat heavily in a chair designed for a being with a different body shape. I agree, but why? We've been good neighbors. We've shared technology. We've respected boundaries. Maybe that's the problem, Do-hyun said. We've advanced too quickly for some of their comfort. They see what we might become in another century and it frightens them. So what do we do? Ji-woo asked. Do-hyun looked out the viewport at the stars beyond. We prepare. We warn Earth and we prove them wrong. Hyunjin's communication device beeped. He checked it and frowned. Captain, I'm receiving reports of increased alien ship activity near our outer colonies. Military vessels. Already positioning themselves for when we fail? Ji-woo asked. Or ensuring we do fail, Hyunjin replied grimly. Do-hyun thought for a moment. Ji-woo, you noticed some council members seemed unhappy with this challenge. Find out which ones might be sympathetic to us. Hyunjin, quietly alert our colonies to be on guard but take no aggressive actions. And you? Ji-woo asked. I'm going to request a private meeting with Dreval. There's more happening here than a simple test and I intend to find out what. Later that night, as his teammates slept, Do-hyun stood at the viewport again. Earth was too far away to see from here. Just one star among billions, but he could feel the weight of responsibility for his homeworld and all its people. We will not fail, he promised the distant stars. Humanity has never backed down from a challenge. If they want to see what humans are truly capable of, we will show them. Behind him, unnoticed, a small monitoring device in the corner of the room recorded his words. In another part of the station, beings with plans of their own listened and prepared. The challenge had begun. The military restraint trial took place in a massive simulation chamber. Holographic displays created a perfect copy of a contested border system where several species had competing claims. Human officers sat at control stations, linked to real Earth ships waiting just outside Nexus Station. Do-hyun stood behind them, hands clasped behind his back. Though the ships in space were simulated, the human responses would be real. Earth's best officers controlled the vessels with Commander Jun-hee-yoon in charge of the fleet. Remember the plan, Do-hyun said quietly. Minimal force, maximum protection, no matter what they throw at us. Council observers watched from a gallery above. Most expected humans, known for their aggressive history, to fail this final test. The military restraint trial will now commence, Dreval announced. Earth forces must protect their interests in this contested region while showing appropriate restraint. The simulation began. At first, everything seemed routine. Human ships patrolled their assigned areas, monitoring but not interfering with alien vessels nearby. Then the provocation started. A ship from a hostile species approached an Earth mining outpost, weapons charged. Another vessel blocked an important trade route. A third began scanning an Earth colony with suspicious intensity. Commander Jun-hee responded calmly. She positioned defensive ships near the outpost but didn't power weapons. She rerouted trade vessels to avoid confrontation. She placed a single ship to block the scanning but took no aggressive action. First stage complete, Dreval noted. Escalation will now begin. The simulation intensified. A small attack destroyed an unmanned Earth sensor station. Hostile ships began actively jamming communications. A group of vessels surrounded an Earth science ship, cutting off its escape routes. Commander, the Vrel ship has destroyed our sensor array, an officer reported. Request permission to return fire. Jun-hee shook her head. Negative. Deploy repair drones and maintain position. In the gallery, the insect-like council member chittered in what seemed like frustration. They expected us to shoot back. Hyunjin whispered to Dohyun. They want us to show aggression. Dohyun nodded. And we won't give them the satisfaction. The simulation entered its third phase. Now Earth colonies themselves came under direct threat. Hostile ships launched what appeared to be weapons toward populated areas. The human officers tensed. This was the moment most species failed, when their people were directly threatened. Multiple incoming projectiles, an officer announced, voice strained. Impact in 30 seconds. Commander Junhee remained calm. Deploy defensive measures only. Intercept those projectiles but do not target their ships. Earth vessels launched countermeasures. The incoming weapons were destroyed safely in space. Still, no human ship fired on the attackers. In the gallery, confusion spread among the observers. This wasn't how military trials usually went. Most species either surrendered their interests to avoid conflict or responded with overwhelming force when threatened. Then something unexpected happened, not part of the simulation. Unji burst into the chamber. Captain, Collins' colony is under actual attack. This isn't a simulation. Dohyun spun to face her. What? The preserver ships we've been tracking. They're attacking our real colony. Right now, the chamber erupted in chaos. Council members demanded explanations. Dreval tried to restore order. This trial is still in progress. The insect council member insisted. Any external matters must wait. Dohyun faced the council gallery. If what my intelligence officer says is true, then real human lives are at risk. We cannot continue a simulation while our people are under attack. How convenient, the insect being clicked. When facing failure in our test, you claim a real emergency. I can prove it, Yunji said. She activated a communication link. The main display in the chamber switched from the simulation to a real-time feed from Collins' colony. The scene was chaotic. Buildings burned. People ran for shelter. Ships that matched no known council design fired from orbit. The chamber fell silent. Those aren't council ships, Jiwoo noted, studying the vessels. They're from beyond council space. The same unknown contacts Yunji traced communications to, Dohyun confirmed. He turned to Dreval. While you tested us here, the preservers arranged a real attack on our colony. Dreval's crystalline face showed no emotion, but his voice held surprise. These are serious accusations, Captain. And easily verified, Dohyun replied. Check the flight records of preserver ships. Check communication logs. While we're talking, innocent people are dying. The council members conferred hurriedly. Some seemed genuinely shocked. Others, particularly those Yunji had identified as preservers, avoided meeting anyone's eyes. The trial must be suspended, Dreval finally announced. This matter requires investigation. We don't have time for investigations, Dohyun said firmly. We need to respond to the attack now. Any military response would violate the terms of the challenge, the insect being warned. You would automatically fail. Dohyun looked the alien directly in its compound eyes. You think we care about your challenge when our people are dying? This was never a fair test. It was a distraction while you positioned for an attack. He turned to Commander Junhee. Deploy the defense fleet to Collins' colony. Full speed. Wait! Dreval raised all four arms. The council has not authorized. We don't need your authorization to defend our people, Dohyun interrupted. But watch carefully what happens next. It will be our real response to your final trial. Junhee's fingers flew across her control panel. On the main display, the feed from Collins' colony was joined by tactical data showing Earthships racing to the scene. The preservers believe we'll respond with maximum force, Dohyun explained to the watching council. They expect us to destroy their allied ships, proving we're too violent for the galaxy. Or they expect us to hold back and lose our colony, proving we're too weak. He smiled grimly. They're about to learn how humans really respond to threats. The Earth fleet arrived at Collins' colony with remarkable speed. But instead of immediately engaging the attacking ships, they took positions around the colony itself. What are they doing? A council member asked. Moonho Kwan stepped forward. Until now, the AI specialist had remained in the background of the human delegation. They're deploying our new defense system. On the display, a shimmer appeared around the colony. The attackers' weapons fire hit this shimmer and dissipated harmlessly. A shield? Someone asked. Much more than that, Moonho replied. Watch. Earthships began launching small devices toward the attacking vessels. These weren't weapons. They attached to the hulls of enemy ships without damaging them. Now, Junhee ordered. The devices activated. One by one, the attacking ships went dark, their systems shutting down completely. No destruction, Dohyun noted for the Council's benefit. No loss of life. We've neutralized the threat without a single casualty on either side. The Council chamber was utterly silent. What they had just witnessed defied their expectations completely. But there's more, Dohyun continued. He nodded to Moonho. The AI specialist activated another system. A holographic figure appeared in the center of the chamber, a perfect replica of Dohyun himself. This is a message for the attacking forces, the hologram said, but not in any human language. It spoke in the clicking language of the unknown attackers. What is this? Dreyval demanded. A true universal translator, Moonho explained proudly. Not just for words, but for concepts, emotions, cultural context. Something we've been developing for years. Through the hologram, Dohyun was offering the attacking forces safe passage home if they revealed who had hired them. The offer was perfectly tailored to their cultural values and psychology. Impossible, the Insect Council member clicked. Such translation would require intimate knowledge of species outside Council space. Yes, Jiwoo agreed with a small smile. Knowledge we gained through peaceful exchange with those you consider too primitive for Council membership. On the display, the attacking ship systems were coming back online, but they weren't resuming their attack. They were withdrawing, Captain, Junhee reported. The attackers are requesting communication. They wish to surrender. Dohyun turned to the Council gallery. This is humanity's answer to your challenge. We didn't just show restraint in your simulation. When faced with a real attack, orchestrated by members of your own council, we responded with minimal force and maximum compassion. He stepped forward, eyes moving from one council member to another. We don't need 500 years of quarantine to learn restraint. Perhaps those who planned this attack due accusations flew among the council members. The Preserver faction found themselves suddenly isolated, as other members demanded explanations. Evidence of their conspiracy was already being transmitted to all council species. In the midst of the chaos, Dreyval approached Dohyun privately. You knew, the crystalline being said. You knew about the attack before it happened, Dohyun nodded. We suspected. Yoonji's intelligence was clear enough. And you let it happen? Risked your colonists? We warned the colony days ago, Dohyun explained. Those people you saw running were volunteers, creating a convincing scene. The real colonists were safely sheltered. A deception, Dreyval noted. A necessary one, Dohyun countered. It was the only way to expose the truth. Dreyval's crystalline face shifted in what might have been respect. The challenge is officially suspended? For 3 days, the Galactic Council remained in emergency session. The human delegation waited, confined to their quarters on Nexus Station. They had exposed a conspiracy that reached to the highest levels of galactic governance, but their own fate remained uncertain. What do you think they'll decide? Jiwoo asked as they shared a meal on the third evening. Dohyun looked up from his food. Best case? They acknowledge the challenge was compromised and declare it void. Worst case? They claim we cheated by knowing about the attack in advance. That's not fair, Taewoo protested. We only knew because they were sloppy in their conspiracy. Fairness may not be their primary concern, Hyunjin noted dryly. Power rarely gives up without a fight. A soft chime interrupted them. The door slid open to reveal Guide Trell, the blue-skinned being who had first welcomed them to Nexus Station. The council requests your presence, Trell announced. All of you. They followed Trell through the station's gleaming corridors. Other beings they passed stopped to stare. Word of what had happened during the military restraint trial had spread quickly. The inner chamber looked different now. The circular arrangement remained, but the raised seats had been rearranged. Several were noticeably empty. The preserver seats, Jiwoo whispered. They've been removed. Dreyval stood at the center, his crystalline form catching the light. The human delegation is recognized. Please join me. As they approached, Dohyun noted other changes. New beings occupied some seats, species he hadn't seen during their first appearance before the council. The events of recent days have forced the council to confront uncomfortable truths. Dreyval began once the humans stood beside him. For too long, the Preserver faction has influenced our policies, promoting stagnation in the name of stability. Murmurs of agreement came from around the chamber. The challenge issued to humanity was not, as claimed, to test their worthiness. It was designed to ensure their failure and justify their quarantine. Dryval's voice carried regret. In this, I and others were complicit through our silence. And now? Dohyun asked. Now we must decide what comes next. Dryval turned to address the full council. The Preserver faction has been removed from the council pending investigation. Their allies beyond council space have retreated, but they remain a threat. A being with flowing silver appendages rose from a newly occupied seat. I am Elder Shrell of the Viren Collective. We have observed council politics from the periphery for centuries. The treatment of humanity has convinced us and other border species that it is time to take a more active role. Another new council member spoke. The old balance has failed. A council that conspires against its own members cannot stand. Dryval nodded, which brings us to the question of humanity's place in our new galactic order. All eyes turned to the human delegation. Dohyun stepped forward. Humanity did not ask for this challenge, but we met it. We showed our technological creativity, our ethical flexibility, and our military restraint not just in your trials, but in our response to actual threat. He looked around the chamber, meeting alien gazes directly. We don't seek dominance. We seek partnership, but we will not accept limitations placed on us by fear. Debate erupted around the chamber. Some council members argued that humanity had proven itself worthy of full council status, a position normally reserved for species with thousands of years of interstellar history. Others insisted that humans remained too unpredictable, too dangerous. As the arguments continued, Dohyun's communication device vibrated. He checked it discreetly and frowned. Captain? Jiwoo whispered. What is it? A message from Earth, Dohyun replied quietly. The Preservers aren't giving up. Their main fleet has just entered the Sol system. They're heading for Earth. The human team exchanged alarmed glances. We need to leave now, Hyunjin said urgently. Dohyun raised his voice, interrupting the council debate. Honored members, while you discuss our future, our homeworld faces imminent attack. The Preserver fleet is moving against Earth itself. The chamber fell silent. This is confirmed? Dryval asked. Our defense systems don't lie, Dohyun replied. We request immediate release from Nexus Station to defend our home. If the Preservers have committed to this course, they must believe they can overcome your defenses, a Reptilian Council member noted. The technology you displayed at Collins Colony was a prototype, Moonho interrupted. We don't have enough units to protect all of Earth. Dryval conferred briefly with other council members. You are, of course, free to go. The challenge is officially concluded, and our status? Dohyun asked. Remains undecided, Dryval answered. But perhaps how you respond to this attack will provide clarity. As the human team hurried toward their ship, Dryval called after them. Captain Kim, the council will be watching. Remember that. The journey back to Earth took precious time even with their fastest drives. When they arrived, the situation was already dire. Earth's orbital defenses engaged the Preserver fleet, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. The enemy had brought overwhelming force, far more than they had used against Collins Colony. They're going all in, Hyunjin observed as they approached. They know if they fail here, their cause is lost forever. Commander Junhee's face appeared on their communication screen. Captain, glad you made it. The situation isn't good. They've broken through our outer defenses. We're deploying the new shield technology, but we don't have enough units to cover the entire planet. Focus on the major population centers, Dohyun ordered. And Commander, remember, the Council is watching. Every action we take now will determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Understood, sir. Minimal force, maximum protection. On Earth's surface, ordinary people watch the sky with fear and hope. Among them was Jinwoo Kim, a teacher in a small coastal town. He gathered his students in the school basement as news of the attack spread. Are we going to die? A young girl asked, eyes wide with fear. No, Jinwoo replied with more confidence than he felt. Humanity has faced challenges before. We always find a way. Above them, the battle raged. Earth ships deployed Moonho's devices, the same technology that had disabled the attackers at Collins Colony. But the Preservers had learned. Their ships now carried countermeasures, making the human technology less effective. They've adapted, Moonho reported grimly as he worked at a console on Dohyun's ship. We need something new. What about Minji's quantum technology? Do-hyun asked. The solution from the first trial? Moonho looked up, eyes widening. That was for dimensional stability, but yes, it could work. If we modify it to create localized bubbles around their weapon systems. He began working furiously, sending instructions to Earth's defense teams. Meanwhile, Do-hyun received an unexpected communication. It came from Dravel himself. Captain, the Council has voted. A fleet will be dispatched to assist Earth, but they cannot arrive for several hours. We may not have several hours, Do-hyun replied. Then you must do what you believe is necessary, Dravel said. But remember, our eyes are upon you. The message ended, leaving Do-hyun with a difficult choice. Earth had more powerful weapons, destructive technologies they had held in reserve. Using them would ensure victory, but would also confirm the Preserver's warnings about human aggression. Captain, Hyunjin said quietly, we need to make a decision. Our conventional defenses are failing. Do-hyun closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his decision was made. Deploy Minji's modified quantum bubbles, target their weapon systems only, and open a communication channel to the Preserver flagship. When the channel opened, Do-hyun faced the leader of the Preserver faction, a gray-skinned being with small, suspicious eyes. This is Captain Do-hyun Kim of Earth. You have attacked our homeworld without provocation. We offer you one chance to withdraw. The alien's translator conveyed its scornful reply. You have no leverage to make demands, human. Your defenses are failing. Surrender now and accept quarantine. You misunderstand, Do-hyun said calmly. This isn't a negotiation. It's a demonstration. He nodded to Moonho, who activated the modified quantum technology. Across the Preserver fleet, weapon systems began to fail as tiny dimensional bubbles formed inside critical components. The bubbles didn't destroy, they contained, separated, isolated. Within minutes, the entire attacking fleet was effectively disarmed. On Earth's surface, Jinwoo and his students watched in awe as the enemy ships went dark, their threatening glow fading from the sky. I told you, Jinwoo said to the young girl who had been so afraid. Humanity always finds a way. The Preserver leader's face showed shock as reports of systems failures flooded in. What have you done? Exactly what I said we would do, Do-hyun replied. We've contained the threat without destroying you. Your ships and crews are unharmed, but you can no longer attack. Now you have a choice. Surrender and face council justice, or we can help you repair your ship so you can go home. Why would you help us repair our ships? The Preserver asked. Suspicious? Because that's who we are. Do-hyun answered simply. We don't seek destruction, even of our enemies. Hours later, a council fleet arrived to find the situation resolved. The Preserver ships had been gathered in Earth orbit, their crews detained but treated well. Not a single ship had been destroyed, not a single alien life lost.